Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating phenomenon. Have you ever wondered why some people just completely disappear from social media? Think about it. No drama, absolutely no grand goodbye posts, they just vanish from your timeline. And then, when you run into them in the real world, something about them has fundamentally changed. They seem calmer, their focus is way sharper, and honestly, they just feel a lot more real. It presents this truly captivating mystery. Why do some people just vanish from social media? I mean, we live in a world where almost everyone is practically shouting to be seen and heard, right? So stepping away completely really goes against the grain. We're going to dive into what psychology says about these individuals and explore why their sudden absence is actually a powerful statement. Now, a really common misconception is that quitting the apps is just a sign of weakness or that people do it because they just can't handle the heat of the digital age. But psychology tells us a completely different story. These folks aren't running away from the world at all. They are finally waking up from it. It's definitely not a retreat. It's a massive mental evolution. Okay, let's dive into this. The Great Digital Disappearance, Analyzing the Metamorphosis.
First up, escaping the dopamine loop.
You know how at a certain point, seeing that little red notification bubble just stops feeling rewarding? Well, psychologists call this hedonic adaptation. Basically, it's a psychological reality that your brain just gets used to any form of pleasure until it completely loses its meaning. For the people who delete social media, this isn't just about getting bored. It's about reaching a point of real emotional maturity. Their self-worth has simply stopped being negotiable. They've reached a place where they no longer need a tiny screen to tell them they matter.
And underlying all of this is something called variable reward reinforcement. Most people don't even realize this is happening, but platforms are actually conditioning your mind using random bursts of dopamine to keep you hooked. It operates almost exactly like a slot machine in a casino. Those who actually quit social media often develop this hyper-awareness of exactly how these platforms are manipulating their minds.
So, deleting the apps isn't some angry act of rebellion or a temper tantrum against big tech. Not at all. It's a highly conscious act of deprogramming. They are actively choosing to reject that digital conditioning and take their minds back. Which brings us to reclaiming cognitive bandwidth.
Think about it like this. The human brain has a strictly limited amount of cognitive bandwidth. When endless scrolling demands the vast majority of your attention pie, something else has to suffer. You are literally starving your brain of focus, creativity, and peace. People who delete social media aren't escaping. They're just reallocating their mental energy. They're moving it away from an endless timeline and putting it toward things that actually compound over time, like genuine learning, deep creation, and critical thinking.
This mindset creates a much higher sense of privacy, tapping right into a growing psychological trend known as digital minimalism. These individuals value their psychological safety way more than digital exposure. But how do you actually practice this effectively? Well, it starts with 3 daily habits for mental clarity. First, establish a strict no-phone zone for the first hour of your morning. Second, mercilessly curate your feeds so they only include things that genuinely inspire you. And third, schedule purposeful, completely offline hours every single evening. In a world totally addicted to oversharing, they understand that genuine peace thrives in privacy and that mystery is, in fact, power.
Moving right along, from consumption to creation.
It sounds incredibly ironic, but it is scientifically backed that leaving social media actually makes people substantially more creative. Psychology refers to this specific phenomenon as the incubation effect. This happens when your absolute best, most innovative ideas surface only after you have fully disconnected from constant digital stimulation. By deleting social media, these individuals make a really powerful trade. They're swapping constant, mindless consumption for the mental space required to actually create something deep. The ultimate goal is this shift right here. They stop passively absorbing the world through a little glass screen, and they finally start shaping it with their own 2 hands. It is an incredible transformation from being a passive observer to becoming an active participant in reality. Driving all of this is what experts call psychological detachment. One of the most advanced signs of emotional intelligence is achieving detachment without holding on to any resentment. When someone deletes their social media accounts, it is very rarely born out of anger. Instead, it stems from a profound awareness. They've just fully accepted that their inner peace absolutely does not require public visibility.
And finally, clarity over chaos. Silence can be louder than any story post. Just let that sink in. It really drives home the realization that true, quiet confidence doesn't ever need to announce itself to the timeline. By stepping away, they're making the loudest statement possible about their own self-worth.
So they're craving clarity over chaos.
Truth over trends. If you've ever felt that sudden urge to just delete everything and start fresh, realize that it isn't weakness. That is psychological growth, for sure. It means your mind is actively craving that clarity. So, I want to leave you with this thought today. Think about your own digital habits. What incredible things might you create if you finally reclaimed your own cognitive bandwidth? It's absolutely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.